International politics often looks chaotic, dangerous, and unpredictable. But why? Is it simply because there is no world government? To understand this, we need to go back to one of the most influential thinkers in political theory, Thomas Hobbes. In his famous book, Leviathan, Hobbes tries to answer a simple but powerful question. What happens when there is no authority to keep order? He imagines a situation called the state of nature. This is not necessarily a real moment in history. Instead, it describes any situation where there is no higher power to enforce rules. In such a world, people cannot feel secure. Not because everyone is evil, but because no one can be sure what others will do. If you cannot trust others, you start to protect yourself. You become cautious, suspicious, and ready to defend yourself at any moment. Over time, this creates a world shaped by fear and insecurity. Hobbes famously describes it as a war of all against all, where life becomes solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. But this does not mean people are constantly fighting. For Hobbes, war also means the constant possibility of violence. It is the expectation that conflict could happen at any moment, because there is no authority to prevent it. Even without actual fighting, fear is always present. Hobbes explains this through three main causes: competition, mistrust, and the desire for recognition or glory. People compete for resources. They mistrust each other because they cannot predict behavior. And they seek respect, which can easily turn into conflict. These dynamics make cooperation difficult. Even if cooperation would benefit everyone, fear pushes people to act defensively. That is why Hobbes argues that people need a strong authority, a Leviathan, to create order and stability. But what exactly is the Leviathan? It is not just a government. It is a powerful symbol. Hobbes imagines society as a giant artificial being created by people themselves. This giant, the Leviathan, represents the state. It is formed when individuals come together and give their power to a single authority in exchange for security. In the famous image of the book, the body of the Leviathan is made up of many small people, showing that the state exists because of its citizens. The message is simple. Without this shared authority, people remain divided, fearful, and vulnerable. But when they unite, they create order out of chaos. The Leviathan represents both protection and control. It keeps society stable, but it also requires obedience. Now, this is where modern international relations comes in. Alexander Wendt takes Hobbes' idea and applies it to the international system. He describes something called a Hobbesian system. In this system, states see each other as enemies. They expect conflict, they prepare for violence, and they rely only on themselves to survive. It looks very similar to Hobbes' state of nature, but Wendt makes one key argument. He says this outcome is not automatic. Just because there is no world government does not mean the system must be hostile. What matters is how states understand each other. If they see each other as enemies, the system becomes Hobbesian. If they see each other differently, the system can change. So the key idea is this: Hobbes helps us understand why a world without authority can feel dangerous. Wendt shows us that this danger depends on how we interpret that world. In other words, even in anarchy, outcomes are not fixed. They are shaped by ideas, relationships, and expectations. And that is why, in international politics, the world is not just what it is what states make of it. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and see you in the next video.